Let's give it a hand. Early in the morning, Monday morning, the weekend of Thanksgiving. And we have a lot to be thankful for because this is an incredible century. Don't let anyone tell you differently. This is a cool century that we're in right now. And it's a very hopeful time for a lot of changes, but you know, we're gonna change it up here. That's the MO for this century here. Savanna Punjin, welcome. I want to talk about this is interpreting visual culture, and we've been analyzing visual culture, just what visuality means and says in ways that are different from literal culture. And your parents, when you were younger, were so worried about you guys being able to read, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got first grade, you start to read. Maybe you did it in kindergarten, first grade, right?
Sure.
See Spot Run, See Mary Jane. So you forget all those books anyway. They're so. What was it called? Good Night Moon. I See Moon. You know where the wild things are. Whatever. We all been through those books. Gang, what is Savanna? What is the essence? You looked at pictures when you were young, and then your parents and your teachers were worried that you're literate. Now we're literate, and we're living in an increasingly literate world. Going back to visuality, what do you notice between maybe in this class between visuality and truth?
Well, like they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So like people can interpret like pictures differently. So
very differently. So it's like when someone says Punjin, I hate you or I love you, do people go like, well, what do you mean by hate? Or what do you mean by love? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. And then let's Savanna, the words like truth, justice, and so forth. Do these have a indubitable meaning? Do these have a truthful meaning? Do these have a metric meaning, like in science?
Words like justice?
Justice.
Yeah.
They do. Is this why people study law, to interpret what justice is?
I guess some people do.
Some like pre-law people or lawyers do, and so forth. So, Chris, what does a word like justice or love mean? Isn't this also in the eye of the beholder?
Isn't justice love?
Well, let's just focus on the word love. Maybe that's more. I hope none of you have experienced injustice. Probably have, but who's experienced love in this room? None, no one over here. Oh, we have people over here. For your parents, for your dog, not just for your significant other, but like your parents, your dog, your brother, your sister, your goldfish.
What's love?
There you go. That's my point. Chris, what is love? What are all of the little meanings? Because my point here in this lecture is that somehow, in a literate society, and I'm going back to McLuhan, we assume that words have a greater veracity than pictures. You just said a picture's worth 1,000 words. We think that words are spot on, man. When we say love, what goes off in your head?
In the Rosetta Stone, that whole program for teaching languages, the whole thing is that they don't show you the words. They show you like pictures, and then you hear someone saying the word. And when I'm taking the one for Greek now, and when they got to the word of love, they had a whole bunch of pictures of like kids with like macaroni hearts or like hugging the grandfather figure or something, and it was a lot of like hugging and holding.
So you mistakenly say macaroni hearts or grandfather.
Yeah, macaroni. Yeah, and so it would be like, you know, the little kid would have like a speech bubble, and they'd be saying like "I love you" or something. They'd have a little heart or something.
Andrew, there's something that Wittgenstein said in one of his books. I think it was Philosophical Investigation. He said, "A child does not know pain until he or she knows language." That's pretty extreme, right? Yeah. Which follows what Laura said on learning.
That's not true, though.
Yeah, it's true. Wittgenstein said reality seeps in according to our adeptness at knowing language. When the baby comes out, we can spank the baby. Do you remember being spanked when you came out of your mother's womb?
No,
Do you think that? Boy, a lot of you probably cried all the time, Jacqueline. Come on.
I rarely cry.
Okay, that's good.
But I was gonna say that doesn't love, for me, love means to the ability to consider another's needs and wants.
Chris, are you worried? A lot. Who's been in this position? It's only, gosh, you're young adults. Have you ever worried that you're loving more than the person you're loving?
What?
Who's done that?
All the time.
Unrequited love. Raise your hands. You love someone so much that you suddenly you catch yourself like, oh my God, I wonder if he or she loves me in return. That happened to you?
No.
Not yet? Happened to you?
Yeah, you're gonna make me sick.
Uh-oh, what happened? When you love too much, and then suddenly you go like, what does it mean? You ask the person, what does this mean for you? It's like Wittgenstein saying to a child, Wittgenstein's ready to spank the child. What does this mean to you? And the kid says, I don't know until you do it. I don't know until I have a language for it. What does that mean to you? Did you ask the person, what does this thing we have mean to you?
I guess, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
And what was the reply? Well, I don't know.
He's a lying, nasty boy.
Charlotte! Ever happened to you?
No.
Brad?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure?
Yeah.
Let's
That's
hear
what
the
happened?
story.
What?
Let's hear the story.
I don't have a story. I'm sure it happened.
You loved it all. I'm sure it happened. Nicoya?
Doesn't want to remember.
Never happened to you. You people are all so guarded. Muhammad?
No, absolutely not.
What about all your siblings and your parents? And your parents say, didn't this ever happen with you? It happened to me. Hi, Mom.
You have a favorite.
Right? You asked your parents to say, Mom, who do you love more? And what do your parents say?
My mom says,
No,
love you
everyone, we
equally.
love everyone the same.
We love you equally. Punjin, how many siblings do you have?
2.
2 others. And you probably asked that question when you're 3 or 4, right? Did you ask that question of your parents?
I can't recall the last time I actually asked that question.
Not the last time. If you ever asked them, all you out there, ask your parents, okay, who do you love better, right? Who's asked their parents that? Come on,
My
let's.
brother and I just figured it out. We didn't ask.
Oh my God, that's even worse.
was
Muhammad, what was he loved? They loved you better.
They love me more. My brother and I figured it out. We started weighing the pros and cons. Like, all right, what good did they go for you? What pros and me? It's like,
And he hit the road. He tied a little hanky, put food in it, put it on a stick, and jumped the next freight train out of there. That's the way it happened. Muhammad, did that fateful question ever come up for your parents?
I'm gonna ask my mom, and she would say.
Don't go back and ask her now. It's not the point.
No,
Just kidding.
No, I said I asked my mom, and then she was like, "Oh, do you love you the same?" But I don't know. I think my mom likes me more. I mean, I'm the only son. You know,
Oh,
You're
wow.
assuming a lot.
So you're what, competing against your father?
Oh, now we split open a deeper meaning of love. Kang, did you ever ask that question? Manisha, did you ever ask that question?
You know the story again?
No? Johnny, lid down. So let's go on. This is the difficult concept of love. You said to the schmuck, I think we're not loving equally here. And he says something like, equal, that's boring. Right?
No.
No?
He's just an asshole.
He was okay. And then you said, what does this mean? Why do I love this way? Now we're going to edge us back to visual culture. But first of all, something as complex as love, and what Laura said about learning a Rosetta Stone language, is that they show you pictures and not other words. That's the problem with most language instructions. They say, oh, here's the word in English. Now make the word in Chinese, for example. And you go like, oh, a lot of people do well in language tests, get over the country, and they're frozen in their tracks because they've had to go through separate languages to do it. We have to go through separate languages when we're trying to understand each other's concept of justice, love, the bigger concepts, and so forth. But would life be fun without these bigger concepts? Simple concepts like on, off. Well, that's not very simple. Every word is difficult. So Savanna, what eventually happened with these two? You and this person go unmentioned. Spit the word out there, love, or see it written on a piece of paper. Boink. Two, as Wittgenstein said, 2 separate concepts of the word love come and enter the head, And somehow you got to communicate with the third thing, the word, about what this concept is. What happened?
We have to show it. And
No, what happened
Oh.
between you and this differing concept, with this individual and a
well,
differing
it wasn't-
concept of love?
It just wasn't the same interpretation. And then you just see how true a person is.
Cool. What is, Andrew, what's economic justice?
What is it?
Yeah.
I'm from the past, I have no idea.
It's according to the charts that a lot of Occupy Wall Street people put up there. It's like we have the greatest inequity between the very rich and the very poor, which only means eroding the middle class, since 1928. That's the chart. Brett, would you point a finger to the chart and say, look, there it is. That's economic injustice. Or would you tend to mitigate that with Chris says, well, they pay more taxes. What would you say about looking at a visual chart of this?
Chart's looking pretty good.
Looking pretty good?
Or bad.
It gives you the evidence to say it has not been this unequal since 1928. But Nicoya, what does that mean? Looking at a chart, people like charts in their PowerPoints. You'll get out of here wherever you go, law school, med school, professional school. They'll ask you to do your PowerPoint shows, and immediately you think charts. Okay, of course.
Because numbers are the only thing that has validity. 'Cause
I think numbers lie.
numbers do lie.
85% of statistics are made up on this phone.
Yeah, 85% statistics are lies, but.
So is Laura? Would you not trust this? They say 1928. Give me a break.
I think that it's a completely different world from 1928. Even if the numbers somehow match up, it's a completely different lifestyle from 1928. And you can't just say like, it's like we're back in the 20s. It's like you can't do that. This is,
You have to factor in
you have to
global
factor-
economies.
Yeah, you have to factor in like in the 20s there was no internet. There was no like not a lot of people had the knowledge of like international relationships. Now people can talk to people from across the country anytime they want, across the world anytime they want, from the internet, from talking online, anything. I mean, it's a completely different world.
And this is the Roaring 20s. This is the 28, which led up to 29. Which what happened then, Muhammad? 1929. Crashadelica. The bubble crash. Chris, what is a bubble? Is bubble information? Is bubble a feeling? Is a bubble economy? Is this a hype? Is this a musical chairs? What is it? A frenzy? What is a bubble?
Tulips in Denmark.
I've researched tulips in Holland.
Yeah, Holland.
The bubble is purpose.
Purpose for what?
The bubble is the purpose. The aim is change, and once change gets to that point, it crashes. Once change is at the brink, everything crashes.
Charlotte, do they know they're
And
crashing?
they do it on purpose.
Who's they? Who's the man? In a bubble, there should be no leader, right? You guys remember the .com thing? Kang? Septarsi? No, you're looking quick. I was merely 5. That was about 12 years ago. Yeah, you guys don't remember because you were 8 or 9. That was a huge bubble.
The middle class is the most people that invest in the stock market.
What bubble?
A bubble in economics is the last one that collapsed in 2008. A lot of you going like, 2008? I was merely 14 then. 2007, the winter of 2007. Remember 4 years ago, tanked. The bubble, as if someone took a big pin into the bubble. What was the meaning?
But it seems
The
like
visual and literal meaning behind that bubble, Brett.
war is among us,
War's been amongst us since 2003.
and so has bubbles crashing.
Brett.
War is not among us.
What was? Come on, gang. What was the big scam of the bubble that just burst in 2007, which, according to a lot of you, you're suffering under? What was it? What was the touchy-feely and the specific indicators in that? Punjin.
What was the question?
What was the bubble about that burst in 2007?
Was it the housing market?
Got it.
Yeah, that's.
It's about your house. It's about living. It's about living. It's about keeping yourself warm in the winter. Yeah, you're living quizzically.
mortgage
That's what it
companies
was
gave
about.
Mortgage companies gave it was like a whole scheme. 'Cause they
Subprime mortgages. You give out so much mortgage, but the
Yeah.
only way
said-
intelligent
they gave
people.
who couldn't pay them back.
Okay,
Exactly.
the only way intelligent people would do that, Rochelle, is what?
Money.
The only way intelligent people would forget their fourth grade mathematics and take people up on this emotional bubble, like love. You're with your boyfriend. Oh, we feel love. We're together. We both feel love. It's only growing. It's only growing. And then you figure out he's loving you less. That's like someone took a pin to a bubble, right?
Yeah.
And it goes, vroom. And then you could have, I'm not saying what happened, but you could have salvaged something, but you said it's not worth it anymore. Like tulips in the Netherlands in the 18th century, 17th century? Something like that. There were some tulip bulbs that cost $20,000 then.
And then suddenly, like, a couple people realize, like, wait a minute, it's a tulip bulb. Why am I paying enough for a couple houses for a tulip bulb?
Because they had used this for currency
Yeah, and, then,
and so forth.
And then someone realized that and was like, I'm not doing that. And then everyone else jumped on board the bandwagon.
Why would someone in Brooklyn take out 99% mortgage, subprime, on a piece of property, a brownstone in not such a good neighborhood in Brooklyn, for $750,000? And why would someone earning only $50,000 get that loan? Don't know why? It's a bubble.
Slave for life.
Slave for life. It's happened to some relatives of mine. You get in, and you think you're going to be they're working their hardest to pay $1,300 in monthly fees, working not such a good job, and then suddenly you got $100,000 extra just from a mistake. In the bankruptcy laws, people say, well, there's got to be a justice. I'll talk to a bankruptcy lawyer, and they're all covered too. So where is these concepts? Let's finish up with this concept of the bubble. Love is a bubble. If we all feel love in here, it only increase until we determine one person doesn't love as much as the rest of us. And then like a pin and knocks it out. What I alluded to before, guys, when the internet was pumping away, it started the first Netscape was like 94, 95. And then by 99, there was this frenzy that everything was going online. It was like tulips. People are paying, I had friends earning $130,000. Paper would vanish. We'd have education online. We were talking about real estate online. People were selling domain names for hundreds of dollars, just names they made up, like mydogvomited.com. Oh my God, I should register that name and then resell it for $500. They were registering concepts, much like registering tulips. Okay, Andrew, this has a lot to do with our collective notion of value. Our collective notion of love. I hope everyone's experienced love in here. We're all mammals. Maybe you just felt it for your goldfish or your parents. Maybe not another human being or boyfriend or girlfriend. By the time you do, it throws the love for your goldfish in perspective, right? Absolutely. So Andrew, what's this, is this bubble hysteria? Is this, we have to trust bubble. You guys are here on a bubble. The bubble of the university. Because you look around and your friends are believing and so forth, like people believe they could get a subprime mortgage on having a job stocking shelves at Target, and then they said, I'm entitled to it. There's a bubble. My friends are doing it. They got it. Young people say, everyone is in love. I got to be in love too. Oh my God, there's part of the meme pool that we're all experiencing this. Andrew, what is this? The bubble's true, right? Any bubble's true.
Oh, yeah. How do you mean it's true?
If everyone around you is believing it, Johnny, then it's true, right? Lid down, Johnny. Give us some love. Then Charlotte, I'm worried, man. If everything's group psychosis, according to meaning, that we don't have if Savanna didn't have like an objective version, maybe she turned to the schmucky guy and says, you don't even have an objective view of what love is. No, here I am giving and giving and giving, and you're just taking and taking. And maybe the guy says, well, this is love. You give and I take. Charlotte, the bubble. We give, someone takes, which corresponds to this notion of the greater fool. There's a subject in economics that we're only getting pushed up because there are greater fools behind us. And part of my contention here, especially teaching visual culture, that we're increasingly living in a very literate planet. It's becoming more and more literate. People are reflecting and thinking on concepts like love and bubbles and justice and the middle class, and they're playing with these concepts. So Charlotte, what do we need bubbles, or we don't need bubbles, or we're living in a post-bubble time? Is this what the Occupy Wall Street people are saying? You deceived us with that bubble, and then the brokers are wagging their fingers back to them and said there would be no wealth without us, right? Who's true?
Well, I feel like with the housing bubble, that one is with pop, and we're still feeling the effects of it. Yet there still are a bunch of bubbles that are yet to, they're in the process of still, they're going to.
This one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Education. So, as far as who's right, it's people who are being affected by it, I think.
Okay, the brokers are true. I know enough about Econ 101 to say, okay, markets create capital intensity, which creates speculation, which create wealth. I mean, your parents have jobs because of the speculation. We aren't living in culverts, thank God, yet. That there is a faith in culture that will make the next bubble of faith, and accordingly, houses won't see what they were 4 years ago in another 30 years. So even owning is not a good investment anymore. Probably renting is. Brett, bubbles are necessary. The brokers look at the Occupy people and say, you would not be here if we were not here first. We got a chicken and egg thing. And the Occupy people looking back at them and say, you deceived us. You turned off the music you were listening to, and we were kept playing the game, and you deceived us. Who is right?
I think certain bubbles are unnecessary and others aren't.
Bubble like Social Security. You pay it forward hoping you'll get Social Security. Maybe not. Health insurance. That's a bubble. How's that, Muhammad? What? Any insurance is a bubble. And then when they don't pay, we lose faith. What does faith have to do with bubbles, Khan? Is money pure psychology?
It's not how much you have, but how you choose to spend it.
It's what kind of faith you have in it, right? If you stack your money away, having faith in slow interest mutuals and things like that, and they tank like the school. Guess who our biggest benefactor was?
President.
He picked 3 schools, 3 universities in all of this country. Guess who it was? Madoff. Bernie Madoff. Stony Brook, I think Vanderbilt, and one other college was on his. He managed their portfolio or something like that. Oops. Rockefeller started this college. In conclusion, let's hold it there. Punjin, I want to thank you and Savanna for sitting up here. Let's give them all a hand. We'll see you about complex economics soon. Thank you.